My name is Mary PUSEY. I live in Holiday, Utah with my husband. I began doing watercolor many years ago when I was a school teacher. And during that time, I took classes so that I could teach watercolor in my classroom. That led to me watercoloring all the time. And from there, I tried some acrylic, and I've gone into oil, and I am now doing oil and cold wax medium. I started cold wax when COVID was probably a month old, and everything had shut down, and exhibitions I was in had been canceled. So this is one of the examples. This is called Prickly. Any of my paintings in cold wax have a color palette that I worked from. So probably 3 colors, and then lots of mixtures of white and black with those, which I had never done before. It looks a little bit like acrylic because it is shinier, but you use palette knives, flat objects, curves, markers, whatever you want to move the wax and move the paint. You play first, you get things going, then you start refining and deciding how it's going to actually look. I was in a previous show with Pilar, and I enjoyed being with Pilar and with her and learning about her foundation. And I am always trying to help girls become themselves and not worry about what others think of them. When I was a teacher, our brightest math students were generally, not always, girls. And by the time they went to middle school, they had learned not to be smart. And I just feel that was just so sad for me. I started with watercolor and love watercolor. Watercolor works on itself. It moves, it creates things, it's alive. So as an example of watercolor is this one, and it is when I've started doing a little more abstraction of the actual object. And this is 3 gossips in Arches National Park. I did 3 of these, kind of a series. And this one is called Desert Heat, and I love doing color and shapes, and that comes from Carl Purcell. He was one of my teachers. And so I've kind of taken that and I'm bringing it into this, and I will continue both. I am really thankful that I get to do this. I'm grateful for being able to do something that's online, and I understand that that's different than being in person. But I'm hoping that people will look online and see what's going on and support this for the scholarship fund. It is so important.
Hi, my name is COKER Peterson. I'm relatively new to Utah. I moved here about 3 years ago from Maryland. Once I found a group of artists here, I really felt like I found my home again. I found a plein air group and also a figure group, and they have been a very challenging, encouraging, and supportive community, which is exactly what I needed and I was looking for. Many decades ago, I did go to art school. I graduated from Maryland Institute College of Art, but after that, I did a little bit of everything. I was an illustrator for a hospital for a while. I worked as an art teacher for a while. I spent most of my 30-plus career as a graphic designer, working for multiple, usually environmental groups, and then towards the end I worked for myself. I work in oils. I like to paint directly on location. I usually do a little fine-tuning. When I get back to the studio, I take photographs for reference. The ones behind me, one was done from the Jordan River Parkway, looking at the Wasatch in the early spring. You can see a little bit of the snow still on the mountaintops. The other one was down in Fruita, Utah, and the sun is just shining through the leaves of the aspens, and it's just glorious. The small one I did last summer. My husband and I were on the road for about 6 weeks, traveling around, avoiding the heat in the valley, and that one was done at Pine Lake outside Bryce Canyon. I think it's fabulous. Women need to support each other. We do an excellent job of it, and it's a great way to make new friends. The artists here are very welcoming and very encouraging and friendly, and that has been delightful for me.
My name's Kristen Mitchell. I'm an artist living in Utah. Originally, I'm from central New York. This landscape was really foreign to me when I got here, but I was fascinated with it because there's so much earth exposed. My process is so long and slow, it's very contemplative. So as I'm drawing these places, I'm always seeing metaphor and everything. So this is a really good place to contemplate the world as it is and what's happening. These drawings are a part of a new series of small vignettes of dark, low light scenarios, or there's some that are very bright light scenarios in landscape settings. They're all hyper-local, so these are all right in the Wasatch or Uinta area. I have been working with the same level of minutia at large scale and started becoming interested in smaller and smaller format for the same reason that I'm interested in the big scale. So the minutia seems to be important in a small drawing and equally important in a large drawing. There's a lot of steps. So I'm a printmaker by training, and so this in a sense is very much more printmaking than any other art form. So I've spent really the last 6 months perfecting different techniques to get different levels of gray to hold so that I can express a subtle range within either low light or high light. And so the process really, I'm doing washes of charcoal dust, getting to them to adhere at different gray levels, and then some removal, and then some even sanding or scoring to get it to hold the material. They go through dozens of fixative layers because they have to fix at such a light spray level, so there's no little particle drop visible. They're so delicate. This is something, if it's unframed, it would blow away. So here I could show that without the glass on top of it, without the container for it. As I was coming down here, I just found this tiny hand. So she had made these little cast bronze hands, and the small quality of it resonated. In art school, you're supposed to draw the mass and the big shapes, and you'll be in trouble if you go for the detailed but that's what I care for, is that specificity. To have a piece of art too that you can hold in your hand seems very nice and seems different than the large scale, but somehow the same too, because your imagination, almost when you have to look through this window, it wraps around you in a way that the large scale ones do. It invites you to have the intimate moment.